Welcome, everybody, to episode 4 of The Bunker Talk. Today, I have Natalie with me. Thank you so much, Natalie, for being with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, how long you've been doing it for, why do you do it? I know what you do, but tell the people.
Okay, so let's start off by my name's Natalie Rivero. I sell real estate in South Florida, the Tri-County, Palm Beach, Broward, Miami-Dade. I have been doing this for 7.5 long years.
Wow.
But I wouldn't be doing anything else. Like, okay. I can't see myself doing anything else. I love what I do. I service first-time home buyers, people that are downsizing, investors. I love them all.
Okay. So that's great. That's great. And what is it that made you get into real estate?
So I was a paralegal for 8 years prior to real estate.
Stressful.
Yes.
Also a stressful profession.
Definitely. I'm not a fan of admin work. Mm-hmm. I'm a people person. I like talking to people. I like being in front of people. I like socializing and networking and all of those good things. So I didn't know that was part of real estate. I always thought of it as like, oh, you have to be a salesperson.
Right.
And I didn't like, for example, going to the mall and those people at the kiosk that come up to you and they're like, hey, do you want to buy this?
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so annoying. I
never
never want to
pushy,
be that. Right.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be that. Mm-hmm. So someone came into my life and when I was like 27. And for a long time, they were like, hey, why don't you get your license? Why don't you get your license? Why don't you get your license? And I was like, I'm not a salesperson. So it took a while of convincing. And then finally, this person was like, well, don't you have student loan debt? Don't you have credit card debt? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And they were like, well, if you do 1 deal a year or 2 deals a year, there you go. Start paying off your debt. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's right. So sure enough, I got my license, closed my first deal in 30 days.
Wow.
And
what kind of deal was it?
It was, I swear, kid you no lie, till this day, 7.5 years later, the easiest deal I've ever done.
And it was your first one.
The first one. I showed him 2 houses. And that's it. Game over. One of the 2 he liked. In 30 days, we closed. No hiccups, no nothing. $10,000 check.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. If everyone could be so lucky, right?
I know. I had never seen $10,000 in my bank account.
Wow. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I had said, well, I need to see $50,000 in my bank account in order to be able to quit my full-time job. Sure. And as soon as I got that check, I walked into work and I was like, all right, guys, bye.
Wow.
I was done.
That's amazing. That's amazing though that that is a big check, right, for someone at once, right? That's not used to that type of money being deposited, but also just taking a bet on yourself so early.
Absolutely. And you know what? It was the perfect timing. I wasn't a mom yet. I was in a relationship where I was living with this person. My finances, like my bills, were very, very, very minimum. Mm-hmm. So it was the perfect time for me to say, okay, like if I can't close anything in the next 3 months, I'll go back.
You can go back. Right.
Yeah. Right. And I had the experience that I could get a job right away, sure. So I was like, I have 3 months, right? 3 months to figure it out.
There was risk, but not terrifying, not in the sense where you wouldn't be able to recover.
Right. I didn't own a house. I wasn't a mom.
That's great though, because even though, talk about big picture thinking, right? It's not, maybe someone else in that position would have just coasted, also just having their job. Well, I don't have all these responsibilities. I don't need to work that hard.
Right.
But that says a lot about you, right? That you saw it as an opportunity that you can capitalize on instead of just laying back comfortably.
Absolutely. I was super unhappy with what I was doing. I think I had already grown out of it. Mm-hmm. I just wasn't happy doing that anymore. And I wasn't happy making someone else money and me working the hardest. Mm-hmm. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm done.
That's also when, we were just talking before we started recording. I have a lot of respect for what realtors do, especially good ones, right? Like yourself, like I see you. I've known you for a couple years already. Right. We met like pre-COVID and I admire your hard work. I see you're consistent in what you do. I think that you have taken an intentional approach, especially during these years from what I can see, right? Whatever you post online, right? But I think that you're doing a great job of staying top of mind, of marketing the properties that you're listing. You provide valuable content to all of us about the real estate market, what's happening, how you can help. Talk a little bit about that. How have you been able to ride this wave of these last couple of years?
So for me, social media is a big deal, right? I'm mostly Instagram. I started building up that platform when I first got licensed. In the beginning, I was like, why would I post if I wasn't sure, like, that whole, like, if you're Hispanic, right? Like, oh no, don't put that because people are gonna like that de de ojo and you're gonna go bad, But then I was told, like, people want to do business with people that are rocking and rolling. People want to do business with successful people. Yep. Right? So you're going to attract that. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. The mindset completely changed. So I was like, I need to be top of mind and people need to remember what I'm doing, right? And what I do. Because even your own cousin can forget.
And everyone knows a realtor.
Yes.
Like, we're going to talk about that too, because in my industry, we're an insurance agency, and here in my plaza, there's about 4 insurance agencies, right? So there's double the amount of realtors. Right. Everyone knows a realtor.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge in itself.
It's super challenging. So for me, it was a matter of making sure that people were getting constant value. I was in their faces without being pushy. Right. And then in the beginning, a lot of people told me, well, open up a personal page and open up a business page. I kept it all together because I'm a person. Yeah. Right. And like at that time, obviously I wasn't a mom yet. So I was like, okay, what are the things that people can relate to? I was an aunt. I was a dog owner. I, like fashion. I like this. I like that. So all of those things were poured into my platform as well, and not just bombarding everybody with real estate, because that gets boring and people won't follow you.
Well, of course. Well, because then you're that person at the mall, right? The kiosk selling, buy this house, exactly. use me. And that's not the point. Ultimately, I don't know if you're a part of a BNI or if you've ever been a part of one, but and a lot of people don't like BNI. There's mixed reviews of that. But one of the best things I think that they teach, and it's the truth, it's that people do business with people they know, like, and trust. Yes. But the like is a really big part of it. And I think even more where we live, right? Yeah. Because it's such like a
culture.
Yeah, it is.
It's culture.
It is. And I think that I think you did the right thing with merging. Yeah. You are your business.
You're your brand.
Right.
Your face, you are your brand.
Right.
Like, so many people are like, well, it depends on the company you're with. And people will ask you what company. Yeah, you know what? In listing appointments, I've had probably 2 people in the whole 7.5 years ask me what company I'm with. Okay. And outside of that, like, I am the face of myself and my service. I am the brand. So people want to do business with me, not so much my company.
Right. Right.
So for me, the social media thing was a big deal. Staying top of mind, providing value. And I went all in on that. And that for me was a big deal.
Yeah. I know I've seen on your posting that you do have a coach or like a mentor, right? Yes. Tell us about that process. Tell us about what are the benefits that you think, and do you encourage people to do the same?
Oh my God. Yes. 1000% yes. So when I first started in the business, I started with Tom Ferry coaching. Okay. Right. And with Tom Ferry coaching, it was great as a beginner because, you don't know the dynamics, you don't know the procedures. So it was good for that phase of my life. My coach was great. She was also a producer, but not in our market. Okay. So
it's complicated.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I did that for a year and it was good. I loved it. I did a lot of networking, met a lot of people, built referral relationships around the country. Wonderful. Now, during COVID or right before COVID, I started coaching with Aaron Novello. Okay. And so he's in our market. And for me, I wanted to align myself with someone who's where I want to be. Right. Right. Same goals, they're doing where I want.
That's hiring a mentor 101, right? 1,000. It's one of those things where it's like, why we have a lot of those in our space as well. Right. Right. And I think that it's also kind of a buzzword to become like a coach or like a mentor, right? Everyone thinks that they have the experience to do so. So one of the things that I had read recently in a book that I was reading about, entrepreneurship, it talked about like, don't ever take business advice from someone that's not where you want to be. Yep. How many people hire a coach or they go into, even if it's like and I'm not knocking Tom Ferry, I don't know anything. I've heard of it, but I don't really know much about it. But even, the fact that it's not here in the market, right? We have such a complex market down here to hire someone local that knows what it's like, that knows the competition down here. Yeah. I think that's great.
And for me, I wanted to make sure that I hired somebody who was a high volume producer, right? High volume producer in our market. Yeah. That was what
because that's what you want to be.
Of course. Absolutely. Everybody wants to be there, right? Sure. So who better than someone who's doing it in my market? Exactly. So when I started with group coaching, and it was awesome. It was nice. Then I got pregnant during COVID, and then which was still good because it kept the mindset there. You know, it kept the mindset there. It kept me, I guess, on the trends of what was happening with the market and all those things. I was still producing, but not as much because I was walking around with a big belly during COVID.
Looking great though. Still looking great.
Thank you. And then I went to one-on-one coaching, and I can't tell you how, like, there are days where your motivation is up, and there's days that your motivation is down. And I walked out of, or still walk out of, every single group coaching or one-on-one coaching or any time I have with my coach, like, so pumped.
Yeah.
So pumped. And I feel like I can move mountains.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend it. I think for accountability, for just mindset things, especially in this current market.
Right.
Right. Like, mindset's so important right now, because you want to make sure that all the negativity is out.
Right.
The media is putting all kinds of negative stuff out there. So, like, what you're putting into your head right now is the most important.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, that's so good. Especially, I mean, again, industry adjacent, right? But we're going through a really tough time that affects your guys' industry as well, as far as, like, even trying to find homeowners insurance now in South Florida. I mean, these premiums are so high that I don't know how people are qualifying for their loans with such high insurance premiums. And that's just a piece of everything else, you know, the debt, all that crazy stuff that we all know is happening. But, you know, having one of the things I respect the most about realtors, but especially the good ones, right? Like yourself, that you have to be a self-starter.
Yeah.
Because nobody's paying your bills. You have to be good with money.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't know when the next one's coming.
Yes.
And for me to see that, even though, like, even it's not just about the money, right? Like, you know, you have a son, you own a home, obviously you have to make money, but there's still an aspect of needing to control your mind and your thoughts, because, you know, the downs of the loss of motivation can be really deep, right? Where it's like, okay, I need money, but I can't get out and do it today, right? Yeah. So I think investing in yourself is so powerful. I have a coach as well, and, you know, he's also local because our insurance market is crazy, right?
Of course.
But what do you think? I know that you said top producer. For you, it was important to be local, but what other tips would you give for someone that's in your position that's looking for a coach? What other things do you think are valuable in a coach?
I think that, you know, being able to collaborate with your coach, being able to, oh my gosh, there's so many things. Being able to collaborate, being able to run ideas by them, being able to get you out of a rut. There was a day, I'll never forget, there was a day that I was just not having it. Not having it.
Yeah.
And it was like an emotional day. It was just it was crazy. So he sat there and he meditated with me on a coaching call. Like, that was our coaching call for the day.
Yeah.
He's like, that's okay. Close your eyes. Do you need to cry? Cry. Yeah. Like, that to me was like, it's like my friend, not just my coach. Right. You know, so those are such big deals for me, you know, that we were able to take it kind of to a personal level, you know, and work through it.
As much as people say business is not personal, it's personal.
It is.
It's personal.
It is.
And especially even more in your realm.
Right. Yeah. And I think women, we tend to be more emotional too.
Yes.
So, you know, that day was one of those emotional woman moments.
Yeah. Listen, I am having a stressful week, so I know what that's like. But funny, I'm glad you said that about women just in business and in that theory. But I know that your industry is also, it's a little heavier on the woman side, right? There's more women realtors than men.
I think so too.
And in mine, it's the opposite, right? There's more men that dominate the space. But tell me about what do you think are the differences in between the women and the men realtors? Like, what are the assets that the women bring? Because I feel like there's, you know, what? I don't know that this is true. This is just me speculating off of like what I've seen on TV, right? That I'm assuming that the men, they come off more aggressive.
Yes. So, you know, guys, I'm sorry, cover your ears.
No offense to anybody. We love you.
No offense, men. But I think we're at an advantage where men might be, yes and no. So I think that we're at an advantage in the fact that women are nurturers, right? So like, I baby my clients. Right? You know, okay, you know, we're going on an emotional journey.
It's almost a therapy session.
It is. Yeah. It is. We become psychologists for sure.
Yes.
And, you know, I tell them we're going on an emotional journey, especially in the market last year. You know, it was crazy. And we just have more patience, more nurturing. I think that we're just, you know, just nicer. Just nicer. Men are very direct, very to the point. We can be gray, and I think they're very black and white, you know, and I think that that's a big deal. I think where they're also a little bit more advantageous is where some people feel like men are superior still, and that, you know, that's the society from before, like the old times. And so they rather do business with a man versus a woman, you know, probably. But I still think we're better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think that, I think it is an emotional process.
Yeah.
My dad became a realtor when we sold our last agency because he was like, oh, well, I don't want to retire. And like when you started, right? If you can make a couple $1,000s, great. And he sold one house and he was like, never again. He was like, this is just so emotional. And everyone thinks that their house is the best, even though it's like not upgraded. And he's just like, I can't tolerate the drama.
Yes.
So the patience for sure.
Yeah.
The patience is.
I think we have the patience. I've had men who have asked me, like, how do you sort through like the people that are legit and the people that are BSing? And I was like, honestly, it's just a matter of asking the right questions.
Right.
You know, having empathy and asking the right questions is key for me, I think.
Right. The fact finding.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me about your prospecting, because that is such a big deal of what you do as a realtor that is high volume and high production.
So with prospecting, I'm not a big cold caller as far as like, I know people who call expireds and FISBOs, and, you know, my coach, he's like number one in all of that. But for me has been really prospecting through social media.
Okay.
You know, any type of social media platform. If I see somebody gets engaged, if I see somebody gets divorced, if I see that they're having a baby, like, you know, my whole thing is staying top of mind. So when those life milestones happen, I am the person to go to, you know, also just staying on top of my database, sorry.
Right.
So calling people that I know, hey, how are you? And not necessarily talking about like, hey, do you want to buy a house? But just conversation. Connecting, conversation, and going around trying to touch every contact that I have at least every 30 to 60 days.
Wow.
You have to.
Yeah.
And especially in markets like this. You know, I think another thing that I've done well also is like whenever there's been a sale, you know, I bombard the neighborhood. I've bombarded the neighborhood, whether it's door knocking or sending them flyers, or as a matter of fact, I had just somebody call me last night about a flyer that I had sent them. So like that stuff has worked for me. The other thing has been also lately, I've been trying to call people who are in probate sales. Okay. Right. So it's kind of sticky, you know, because they just had somebody pass. Right. But we've been doing that as well. I have my assistant that helps me with that too. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm assuming then, I mean, having networks of, for example, probate attorneys would be a great referral source for you.
And divorce attorneys.
Okay.
Divorce attorneys are a big one too.
Yeah, yeah.
I've had a few divorce clients that has been pretty interesting to say the least.
My God, I mean, you're another therapist, right? To them, I mean, that's a whole another thing.
That's a whole other story for another day, and maybe even a glass of wine.
I was gonna say those appointments involve happy hours.
Yes, definitely.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, those are interesting. But yeah, I mean, listen, not everybody, but people get divorced, people pass. You know, it's what happens. Right. So you know, you just have to make sure that you're pulling the right list and calling the right people.
And you have to be, I think it's great because part of the success for you and for me is also knowing your ideal client, right? Yeah. If you know that you have the nurturing spirit and that you can be a source of value and comfort to these people going through difficult times, I mean, that is a gift.
Yeah. I think I'm number one with the little old people.
Aww.
Oh my goodness.
I love old people. They test your patience.
I love them because I'm like, I have the empathy and I have the patience, but at the same time, I work the hardest on those. Yeah. They love me, but I work my butt off on those. Like it is so much. But
I can imagine. At least it's, I mean, I know that you're here to make money. Like I get it. But at least, you know that there's so many people that are taking advantage of the elderly that, I mean, there's a little bit of sense of pride, right, in what you're doing, and making sure that they're being taken care of in quarter 4 of their life, right?
For sure.
Like that's the word. I'm so sensitive towards that.
Yeah, me too.
I can't tolerate that. So that makes me happy to know that you take care of our little old people.
I try.
But it's also powerful for their families, right? Because they know, right? If you have grandparents, you know what it's like to deal with them, right? You know that they're, difficult. You got to repeat things. They do things their way. We all know that, but it makes an impression on the family.
Yeah.
So you take the time and you treat the elderly people in the family with love and care and respect, you're going to get the business from the family.
Absolutely.
So
I agree.
It's kind of like, I would assume that there's not a lot of people that are like really focusing on that either. So
no, there was, the one that I'm dealing with right now, they were listed with somebody else prior who, listen, there's a difference between a good realtor and one that just slaps it on the MLS.
Right.
There was a bunch of things that needed to be fixed with that listing. There was no offers, there was no showings, and I got it under contract in like 15 days.
Wow.
Mind you, the house, it needs a ton of work. And so it's like, make sure that you're providing value and you're doing everything if you're taking a listing.
Right. Well, and the thing is, you said it, there's good and there's bad. And I think that, especially where we live, I think that people think here in South Florida that being a realtor is like a social status, right? Like I'll get invited to the parties and the cocktail hours and I get to go to all the things. Well, as a consumer, we have to be careful with that. And that's the downfall of the social media, right? Where it's like what you see on Instagram and like what they're choosing to show, and they're at the happy hours and the things, and that doesn't mean that they're a good realtor.
Right. Agreed. Yeah. And you,
so how does the untrained consumer sift through that?
So on the opposite side, also, like I make sure that I post a mix of everything, right? I'm not just at the happy hours. I'm not just networking every single day. Like you're going to see
you're balanced.
That I'm balanced. Right. Like I will put on my story, if I'm on my way to a listing appointment, if I'm dealing with something that somebody can benefit from because I just dealt with it with a client, so I'll talk about it in my story. I think people learn the best through someone else's stories. And I want to make sure that I do a good job of putting out there what we really do. Right. Because some people think that we're just doing that, just networking. And it's not just that. And it's not just slapping a property on the MLS. Maybe last year it was because it was so crazy,
Well, but how many people just came in because they thought it was going to be a quick rich thing?
Oh, listen, you don't know how many times I heard, oh no, I want to get my license just so I can make quick money on the side.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Those people are not here. No, they're already gone.
They're done. They're done. Yeah. No, listen, make sure that whoever you choose as your realtor, is adding value, is making sure that they're, number one, I don't post out partying with drinks and all of that, all the time. I'm a human. I'm allowed to go out and have a drink,
of course.
But that's not what my social media is about. And yes, real estate could be lavish. If you're high volume, if you're doing the right things, but at the same time, we grind hard. Right. And those are the things that people don't see, the behind the scenes.
It's everyone thinks it's selling Tampa or selling LA, right?
I hate those shows.
Oh, I know.
I hate those shows because they give such a bad image of what we are and what we do.
It's so unrealistic. Yes. Well, it's glamorizing it. Yeah. When there's no doubt that they work hard, right? But it's just the struggles are not.
And they're also serving a different market.
Exactly.
They have to be a little bit more glamorous and all of that. If you're selling nothing but $1 million homes, I'm sure, but the regular people that are selling to regular, people, it's not like that.
Right. So give me 2-3 tips as a consumer that, I don't know. I have 75 realtors to choose from. What should I ask? Give me like 2-3 questions to find a good one or tips.
Okay. So number one, if it depends, if you're on the selling side, number one, if a realtor is willing to right away price it at whatever price you want and doesn't educate you on why you should be at a certain price, you're picking the wrong realtor. Okay. Number one.
Makes sense, right? Because they care. It's their commission.
Yes. Number two, if you have a realtor that is very like, oh, but I, and is not collaborative and is not saying we and bringing you on as a team, you're picking the wrong realtor. Okay. And then number three, I feel like we should have great communication, right? So like every step of the way, like I said before, there are times that you don't know what we're doing because we're behind the scenes, right? And in the beginning, I had clients that were like, oh, but you haven't called me, but you haven't texted me. So I made sure to change that. So every time I call somebody to schedule, like another realtor to schedule for my client, I let them know, hey, I just called to schedule. You know, they haven't called me back. I'm waiting for the call, but I haven't forgotten about you.
Okay.
You know, so that communication is so important. So I think those are basically the
honestly,
biggest
it's
three.
great. Yeah, it's great because I think that, I mean, it is one of the most stressful processes, right, that anybody can do. So I think that, I don't know many people that walk away from it being just like, this was the best experience of my life, which is very difficult, right? It's very difficult for it to be anyways, because there's 17 hands in the pot. The realtor, the lender, the inspector, the appraiser, the title company. I mean, it's eternal.
Yeah.
And you can't control everyone, and everyone doesn't have the same level of service.
And unfortunately, we're the face.
Yes.
Like, we're the face.
So it collapses, it's your fault.
Yes. And I love that you said that, because I had a client one time that was saying, oh, but why are there so many people calling me? Why can't it just be one person? And I was like, I had to like sit back and I'm like, okay, listen, you go to the heart doctor, right? The cardiologist for heart stuff. You go to the dermatologist for skin stuff. We're the same way.
Right.
We each have our specialties. You're not going to go to the cardiologist for a brain situation. Right. You're going to go to a neurologist. We're the same way. We each have our specialties. You don't want me selling you insurance.
Right.
Because I have no idea.
Right.
You know, and vice versa. So after that explanation, it got easier. But in the end, anybody messes up and it's still us. Right. Because a lot of times it's also our referrals too.
You just walked right into it, because I was going to say, how do you build a team of solid people? How do you find those other professionals that work with your same level of service, care, compassion, grit, all of it?
So, I mean, you always have to give someone a try, right?
Sure.
That's the only way. That's the only way to know. And I have given several people tries throughout the years. I've tried different things. I've had people where it didn't work out, you know, and then I was like, okay, I know not to refer this person this anymore, ever. I mean, and also like, you can make a mistake one time. Everybody can, because I've made mistakes. Sure. Everybody can. So I try to build my team that way. And hopefully, and I always keep like different options, not just one of everything, because certain personalities will go well.
Yes.
You know, I have my Hispanic people that I know will like one person better than that person. And I know
we're special.
Yeah, we are really special, you know, and it's not like discriminating against anyone. You just know personalities.
No, listen, if you're bringing your client that you worked hard for and you're handing them off to 7 different professionals, you want to make sure it's a good fit. Yeah. It's not at all anyway discriminatory. It's you are handling this, and it has to be something where, why would you refer to someone that you know that they're not going to mesh with, or they could clash and your deal's gone. Yep.
Yeah, and then it's on you, and you get the bad review, right? You know, because it was you who referred it.
I mean, if we were to compare it, you're basically a general contractor.
Yes,
absolutely. Of the whole process,
1,000%.
Right? You're bringing in the plumber, the electrician. You're bringing in every professional, and just crossing your fingers that nobody messes up too big, that it kills the deal. Yeah. So I completely understand that, and I agree with you. People make mistakes. We're all human, especially in this market too. I mean, people are under pressure. Everyone and everything is high stress, right? So choosing these professionals with care that you also bring in is crucial to your success.
1,000%.
100%. Like you can't just choose someone because you like them.
Right. I mean, I wish, but no. Yeah.
No, it has to be deeper than that.
Yeah. And you know that you have like some clients that are super needy, that need a lot of hand holding. Right. And some people, possibly a woman,
I love that,
will be better at doing that and have more patience. You
yep.
know, some people are busier. Maybe they have more business and they can't tend to somebody like that. You know, so you kind of like gauge and figure it out and kind of match everybody together. Like, we're not just house matchmakers, we're people matchmakers.
I'm telling you, it is a different, I think that I think that some of these, maybe the reality shows too, kind of actually downplay that portion of it, that it is a very high stress job because of that. It's like you're doing all this upfront work. to bring listings, to bring showings, to bring all these people to the table. And then you got to hand it off to people that you trust, and then you don't know. And then people are crazy. And it's just like, and then you go to the next one and the next one. It's not by any stretch something that's easy.
And also, like, here's where you kind of have to make sure your initial, I call it like documentation phase or whatever. Yeah, that's kind of what I call it. Yeah. My little spiel in the beginning, like you have to let them know, like teach them without talking down to them,
right?
Letting them know what the whole process is and what everybody's role is.
Right.
Right. Because letting them know what's going to happen before it happens is key to the whole situation. So what people don't realize is that's our job too, as a realtor. Like, I'm going to pair you up with this person and this person's going to do that. But then you're going to come back to me and this is going to happen. And so you have
it's the onboarding phase.
I swear, I feel like a tour guide.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is the first
Please
ride.
keep your arms in the bus.
Yes, please. That's exactly what I feel like.
That's hilarious. And it makes sense. It's true. But that's all part of a customer experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And someone that doesn't have your experience and the vetting process that you've done already with your referral partners, this is where it goes wrong.
Right.
For these people. And they don't realize the severity of, I know because I used to do the insurance side, right, on the homeowner's part. And I know what it's like when someone says, well, I got this realtor and they want me to use their lender, or they want me to use their title company. And then the title company has their insurance agent, right? But I've been this person's insurance agent forever, right? And I know, and I understand that in these positions, it's don't kill my deal.
Right.
If they need more coverage, give it to them after.
Right.
I get it. Not ideal on our side, and we fight it.
Right.
But I understand, because ultimately, if the numbers aren't there, it doesn't close.
Yep.
So I think that's great. You're vetting, you're disciplined, you're working on yourself. That's beautiful. I love it. Tell me about your goals. What do you where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Goodness. My goals. Okay, so and
you don't have to get too personal. Like, I didn't want to put you on the spot.
No. So so after I had the baby, I hired my first assistant, right? My first virtual assistant.
Awesome.
Because obviously, like, there was one day I saw myself having to type up an addendum, my kid's crying over here, and I was like, nope, we're done. That's time. I need help. So I hired a virtual assistant. That was like a big deal for me because that's stressful, putting, somebody's pay on me.
Right.
And I feel like I'm providing for a whole family in Venezuela, which technically I am.
You are.
So that was the first step. And then I think the next step for me is I want to get to a point where I'm only on the listing side. I want to have a showing agent. I want to get to a point where I have a buyer's agent. And then I want to get to a point that I have another assistant. One's doing just transaction coordinating and one's doing my marketing.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, that's the goal. And then on the personal side, I want a bigger house. But who doesn't?
That's great. That's great. Do you think that you'll ever go on your own as far as a brokerage?
No,
that's not for you.
No, that's not for me. I don't want the liability. And then now the great thing is that I switched to EXP.
Okay.
So with EXP, you don't really need your own brokerage.
Okay.
We have what's called rev share, and you bring in people and you make money off of what they do also. So it's great.
Oh, so it's basically
perfect without the liability, without having to do everything
pressure
by yourself. EXP does everything, and you still help them. You can mentor them. You have them, you want to create a team, you could create a team. So the options are endless. Yeah.
So moving to EXP, talk to me about why, there's also so many brokerages, and I'm untrained in that space, right? So why, what should people look for also when they're choosing a broker to go to?
So I think that you should find a brokerage that, especially if you're new, that has a lot of trainings, right? Because that's important, that can offer you mentors. But more importantly, especially with EXP, whoever you partner with, that's the most important thing. For me, it was a no-brainer because it was my coach who left KW to go to EXP. So I followed.
Yeah.
And we do so much, the collaboration. There's no competition. We help each other out. We do, we're always throwing ideas back and forth. We do events where we're all together.
Yeah.
The classes, trainings, you name it. So for me, it was just come on.
Yeah.
It was a no-brainer that, yes, there's no office. So it's a virtual brokerage. It's all in the cloud. But we do so many events and so many things that the culture's there.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, I mean, and even when I was with KW, I didn't really use the office so much because it's a little bit of a distraction. So I was finding myself working from home anyway. So it just works for me. I love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I know that, I know that there's a couple offices here of brokerages, and I know that there's a lot of competition even in that space over why one over the other, and some specialize in certain markets versus others. So I know that it's a very diverse and complicated choice, I guess, for someone that is untrained, and another reason why they should start with a mentor.
Right.
So what is your area? Like what's I know you said South Florida, but like, is there a price range that you like to focus on?
So, so I've definitely been mostly in the like $350 to $650 price range most of my career. I think now I've gone up a little bit more. Also, prices have gone a lot more. Like you can't find much at $350. Right. So now I'm kind of like from $500 to like $900, $950.
Great.
So that's kind of where I'm at, but I mean, you want to send a $1 million listing my way? I'm not going to say no. Or $1 million buyer. I'm not going to say no either. Right. But for the most part, that's kind of where I play.
Okay. And that's, I'm assuming the competition's tough.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's, I'm sure that's also its own challenge. What do you think, if I'm looking for a house right now, what do I need to get started? What do I need? Obviously I have to come with a pre-approval, right? Like, if I'm getting a loan.
Right. I mean, usually I have people come to me without anything. Okay. Which is great because then I can send you to my people.
Oh, yeah. You know? That makes sense.
Or when people tell me, no, it's Bank of America or it's Chase or whatever. And I'm like, dude, no, you're a number with them. Like, we need someone
and it's like black and white.
Yeah.
There's no exceptions. No. There's no massaging of information.
No. No. And they're 9 to 5ers. Like if you need to put an offer in on the weekend or at night or any of that, you can't. No. It's tough to get a hold of them. You can't. I had one guy that left on vacation from Bank of America and left my file on top of the table. Nobody touched it. So like, no, I need somebody that could call them on their cell phone, and I could tell them, hey, what's up? What's going on? So I usually, as soon as they come to me, I pair them with my lender. I give them the whole spiel. Right. I pair them with my lender and then we go from there. They come back to me once they're pre-approved. I let them know more or less what they need, what the lender's going to send them because I already know. Sure. The email's going to have 3 steps. It's going to be this, this, and this. So that they're prepared for that. And then I tell them, I'm going to hand you off. So I'm going to be a little dormant for a little bit until you get the pre-approval and we know, what price you're working with. And then I step back in.
To then filter.
Right. Whoa. A lot of times, sometimes they kind of gauge and know where they're supposed to be or where they feel comfortable. So I'll start sending them a few properties for them to start looking at the areas. But sometimes I'll just wait till the pre-approval. It depends on the person really and what they want. Once the pre-approval comes back, then it's game time. Yeah. It's game time for me. So, and I'm a little bit competitive with myself. I think like really competitive with myself. Great. Yeah. So like for me, it's like, okay, how fast can I get them under contract? Like I'm not going out like for 3 months showing you properties. Like it's not happening. Right. Like we're doing this. Yeah.
What would you tell a realtor that really loves the business but can't find the motivation? What advice would you give to this person that, sees the potential but is lost?
Okay. So number 1, I'm going to tell you social media, right? Number 1, make sure that you are providing value. Whatever you're learning, put it on there. Record videos, put videos out there because people are going to start seeing you and like, your whole family, everybody, your friends, they're going to be like, whoa, okay, let me give this person a shot. Number 1. Number 2, for motivation, always remember that whatever you do today, you're not going to see for 30, 60, 90 days. Right. Okay. Because
just like in our industry,
this business is delayed gratification. Right. Like this is not Amazon. Right. This is not going to happen in 2 days or a day or overnight or at 4 o'clock in the morning, like they do their deliveries. Right. Like it's not happening, so just be prepared for that. Be prepared to struggle and be disappointed for the first 30, 60 days.
Well, that's why it's like, and I know we're using the word motivation, but really it's discipline.
Yeah.
What they need is discipline.
Consistency.
With consistency and discipline are the 2 factors. It's the same thing in our industry, right? Because we work majority of the times off of expiration dates, right? So if your policy is expiring in April, you don't want to talk to me now.
No.
Because you're busy running your business, doing a million things. But the thing is that every day I don't prospect today, I feel the void in my new business pipeline in 60 days, in 45 days. Yeah. So every day that it's just like, oh, I don't want to make my 25 calls. Too bad. I mean, do it today or don't eat in 45 days.
Yep. It's a roller coaster pipeline. If you don't do that, then all of a sudden, and that's what would, and I'll say this to any new agent. When I first started, I should have at least treated it minimum as a 9 to 5, right? But I saw this newfound freedom because now I work for myself. And I
from a 9 to 5.
Right, from a 9 to 5. Right. So now I'm like, oh, I could run errands and I could go have
lunch. Do my nails and do my hair. Yes.
Yes. So I would do that. Right. And it was like, my pipeline was like super, super, super full, then super, super, super empty, right. You know? So you have to keep the consistency to the point that now when I take a day off, I feel guilty because I'm like, I should be working today. I should be working. Today could have been the call that I get a listing or a new buyer or whatever. So taking time off now is like guilt.
Well, eventually you have to also just be balanced. But at the beginning, it's tough. And your consistency and your discipline and the investment that you've made in yourself has given you, now you have the freedom to say, you know what, today I want to take my son to the park and I can. Right. So I think that's the discipline part and the consistency and the discipline will only get you there faster, right? Because you're exactly what you said about the roller coaster pipeline. Like if you're doing the behaviors, it's not the outcome, it's the behavior. Right. So today you might not get an appointment. The next day you might not, but it's okay because it's a numbers game. Right. The more people you talk to, the more people you're in front of, the more opportunities you get. It's it's the squeaky wheel.
Of course.
That gets it.
And then I used to tell myself, like, this business is a lot of rejection, right? It's a lot of no's. Yeah. A lot of no's. And like my coach says, a lot of names your mother didn't give you. You know, he says that all the time and I die laughing. And it's true. It's true. Like on the phone and they hang up on you and call you all kinds of names. I've had the nastiest text messages.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I've had everything. But it's fine because I'm like, you know what? The more no's I get, the faster I am to my yes. Yeah. So just give me all the no's. Let's go. No. Okay, awesome. Next. Right. Because my yes is coming, you know? Right. So that's what you have to play with.
So you eventually just got to develop the thick skin to do it.
Super.
You can't take it personal.
Super. As a matter of fact, there's someone in the industry that has known me from before, right? When I was in high school and who's also a realtor. And I remember one day he was like, my gosh, you used to be so nice. Now I feel like you're a shark. Oh. I was like, rude.
Is that a compliment or an insult?
I kind of took it as a compliment. I was like, thank you. I don't know if you're trying to hurt my feelings, but I take it as a compliment. A compliment.
Yeah, it's kind of.
You grow the thick skin.
That's because he's threatened.
For sure.
Whatever.
You grow the thick skin.
Boy, bye. No, but I do think discipline, consistency, the thick skin, you can't let the nose affect you. Right? Yeah. Because we do cold calling too.
Yeah, for sure.
So we get it.
Every industry you have to.
You have to.
Yeah.
People think it's dead. It's not dead.
No.
And all of those things. So new realtor that sees the potential, you know you can do it, but you're feeling down on yourself. Be consistent. Be disciplined. Prospect.
Put yourself around people that are doing the things that you want to do.
Right.
Like for new agents, you should go to the networking events. Right. And talk to people. Ask people what they're doing. Right. You know, like join clubs, join mindset groups, join whatever it is, everything. Right. Be around those people because that's what I did in the beginning and that's how I learned.
Right. You know? And you had you started off with good luck, right? Do you remember that first deal? But how long after did it take you? Like, did you tank or did you ride the wave?
So that was, I'll never forget. I closed in end of May, beginning of June of 2015. And my second one didn't come till August. But then it was 3 in a row. Like August, September was like 3 back to back to back. And then it just kept on.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, I could breathe now. I don't want to go back to work. I don't want to work for somebody.
Yeah. That's it's so funny too, because a lot of people have that feeling, right? Where they don't want to work for someone, but they also don't realize that some of you maybe should.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds really mean.
But there's a mindset switch that needs to happen too. Like I didn't have that in the beginning.
Right.
I was not self-motivated whatsoever. I was used to being told what to do. Right. You know, like I was an employee mindset who had to go into a now self-employed mindset. And that, number one, you don't learn that from my family because in my family, no one. My parents work for corporate, both of them. You know, the entrepreneurship was not in my family. That was not a thing. So it was a complete change for me.
Yeah, you had to unlearn everything you knew.
Yeah. It was like a detox of upbringing. If my parents hear me, they're going to kill me.
Yeah, and listen, there's nothing wrong with that. There's
It's
nothing
true.
wrong. And I think that you're Cuban, right?
Yeah, Cuban.
Okay. So did your parents come here?
Yeah.
okay.
My parents came here.
That's exactly what it is, because
Yeah.
my dad at 49 opened an all-state office. He had enough with corporate America and said, I'm done working for the man. I'm done.
Right.
Never owned a business, never sold insurance, took money out of his 401k, went to go
Figured
get an
it out.
insurance license, figured it out,
Yep.
right? His dad, when they came from Cuba, his dad walked into a bank and on a handshake got a $600 loan to start a towing company.
Oh my goodness.
But my dad, and he told my dad, don't go into that corporate world. They're going to buy you with a car.
Yeah.
And you are going to give them your life.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened. He got a company car. He got an early computer, right? But I think it's also an immigrant mentality, right? That's success to them.
Yes.
He had a company car. We had a
Yes.
good childhood.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't really struggle.
So did we.
Right. So for the dream that they have, it's success.
That is the dream.
That is the dream.
Yeah. My dad bought a house.
Yes.
You know,
they bought a townhouse
Yeah,
right when they
yeah.
got married. Like they made it.
yeah.
They made it.
My dad would tell me that if I didn't go to college, that the best I could do is be a manager at McDonald's. Like that was the best.
Yeah.
I had to have an education.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I'm not totally against education,
No.
but my kid's not going to college unless he's going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or something that he actually needs a degree for.
Right.
You know, because I think that why put yourself in so much debt?
Right. Well,
You
the
know?
times have definitely changed.
Totally.
For sure.
Totally.
And I think that I don't know that they were wrong in that aspect, because I think in those days, I mean,
Yeah, it was
and,
different.
And in some corporate settings, if you don't have the 4-year
Right.
degree, you're not getting the promotion,
Right.
which is stupid.
Right.
Even if you worked there for 15 years and you have the experience. But I think that because my dad wasn't that that harsh, but you know, my brother, you know, he wanted my brother to go to school to learn computers, and it was like computers are the way of the future. This is what you have to do, you know. And I think that it comes tied to their struggles,
Right.
and then seeing all the opportunity
Well,
that there
for
is
them,
here.
I think a degree of security.
Yeah.
You know, and like,
And it's what they dream about.
yeah,
I mean,
of
they
course.
think about that.
Oh, my dad got here when he was 19. So for him,
Oh,
like,
he was already a little bit older.
yeah, he didn't go to school here. He
Right.
didn't know the language.
No.
You know, so for him, it was a big deal for us to be able to go to school here because he couldn't.
Right.
You know, my
Right.
mom grew up here. She came when she was 9. It was different. She spoke the language, whatever. She just didn't go to college. She was one of 5.
Right.
It was tough for them. You know, they didn't have TV.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my mom has 13. So
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
And they were born here. She's Puerto Rican. She was born here. My dad came when he was
That's
14.
a lot.
Can you imagine?
No, I have one, and that's enough. So for us, I have a college degree that's sitting there collecting dust.
Right. It's just like in our industry. You know, it's so funny because I'm on the board of our local committee of our insurance agency, and we're trying to get out into the community and encourage people the younger generation to come into this industry because it's aging out.
Right.
And it's so unsexy. They just don't see it. And anyone that comes out of school, they want to go to finance. It's, I'm going to go to Wall Street, or I'm going to be a financial advisor. But this is such a great industry. You need a high school diploma. And I'm not against college either. I think I think it gives you a little bit of confidence too.
Confidence and a little bit of culture, well-rounded.
And discipline.
Yeah.
Like it's an achievement.
Yeah.
I have my associates. I'm not downplaying it by any stretch, but I think that if they just got over the fact that for us, it's not a glamorous industry, right? And all they need is a high school degree. You can pass a 40. You need to go to school,
Right.
take your 40 hours, take your test, and it's done. And you have a path to one of a very lucrative career with no debt.
Agreed.
With no debt and no cap either.
Yeah.
It's a sales career.
I wish I would have known about real estate before.
Realtor, yeah.
I would have gotten my license at 18.
Mm-hmm.
I would have gotten my license at 18. I wouldn't have had a whole bunch of student loans.
Right.
You know, and I would have been I would have gone through the crash, whatever, God knows. Timing is everything, I guess.
Right.
You know, but at the same time, I'm like, I wish I would have done this before.
Maybe the drive of you being fed up with your job
True.
helped you
True.
stay motivated and know that you didn't want to be an employee
True.
of someone. Who knows?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, again, timing is everything, but my son, whether he wants to sell real estate or not, he's getting a license. He is, because you know what? If he refers a friend or refers a friend's family member or whatever, he could make money.
Yeah.
So my son has no choice.
Yeah,
my son has no choice. He's getting a license.
Yeah.
No choice.
Too bad.
Too bad, kid.
You heard it here.
My son is 2. The poor thing. God knows what happens by then.
Tell him now. Tell him to start reading the books. That's how he's going to learn how to read, with the real estate book.
Imagine, and his dad does mortgages. So he's stuck in the business no matter what.
No, it's kind of one of these things when we go to the insurance conferences, they're always just like, oh, how did you get into the industry? Yeah. And everyone's like, my dad, my mom, my aunt. Like, nobody just goes to
That's going to be my son. My dad does finance. My mom's a realtor. Yeah,
that's great.
It's going to be like
great.
that.
Listen, I really appreciate you being here with me, taking time. I know you're super busy.
Thank you so much.
You know, I know you, right?
Right.
To an extent, but I have seen your growth. I think you're doing an amazing job. Congratulations on your hard work, on working on yourself. You did it while having a baby. You're killing it.
Thank you so much.
Where can everybody reach you?
So Natalie_Rivero on Instagram. Same for Facebook. You can find me Natalie Rivero. I just started TikTok recently. So if you ask me, I don't remember my my TikTok handle. But I think
that's a whole nother thing.
It's a whole monster.
Honestly, that's a job now.
It is a job. It is
making reels and my sister-in-law is helping me with that. I'm like, listen, I'm not doing the dances.
No, I don't do the dances either. I'm not gonna make myself look silly, but it is a whole job.
It is.
Marketing is a whole job. Yeah. So that my cell phone number 305-450-2987. My email natthedealmaker@gmail.com or natalierivero.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you come back anytime you want. I love chatting with you, and I love to know a powerful woman like yourself.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
Thank you.